months now and counting, Russia has been dropping bombs, and it's not done yet. Vladimir Putin is chasing a decisive victory, and for that he's ready to push the nuclear button. The Russian president says they're deploying nuclear missiles. Listen to this.
Our armed forces now have the unrivaled S-500 air and missile defense systems. Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missiles have been successfully tested. We're planning for the first such complex will be deployed by the end of the year.
Nuclear missiles, the deadliest weapons in Putin's armor. He's threatening to use them. Listen to what he said last week, and I'm quoting. This is from the Russian president. We aren't threatening anyone, but everyone should be aware of what we have and what we will use, if required, to protect our sovereignty. Vladimir Putin was talking about nuclear missiles. He wants to deploy them by the end of this year, 2022. How serious is this threat? And where can Russia use these nukes? On Gravitas tonight, that's what we'll discuss. First, let's show you the weapon that Putin is talking about. This is it. It's called the Sarmat. It's also called the Satan. Now, this is an ICBM, or Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. What's an ICBM? It's basically a large missile usually designed to deliver nuclear warheads. It has a minimum range of 5,000 kilometers. That's the criterion to define the ICBM. The Sarmat is the largest ICBM anyone has bothered to build. Putin has made some very big claims about this weapon. He says it can hit, quote-unquote, any target on Earth. Any target. It travels at speeds of more than 25,000 kilometers per hour, and it can carry more than 10 warheads. Of course, these are Russia's claims. It's difficult to verify the true capabilities of this weapon. But Putin wants the West to fear Russia's nuclear arsenal. The Russian president is sending a pointed message. Do not stand in Russia's way. That's what he's saying.
And why should we be silent? We will respond accordingly. As soon as we answer, they cling to it and say that Russia is threatening. We do not threaten anything, but everyone should know that we have nuclear weapons and that we will use them if necessary to protect our sovereignty. These are obvious things.
If you threaten us, we will use the nukes. Vladimir Putin is speaking in very clear terms. And these may not be empty threats. In February, Putin had summoned his military chiefs. He ordered them to put Russia's nuclear forces on high alert. This was an escalation. The high alert means an increased state of readiness. So if Putin gives the orders, Russian forces will be able to launch a nuclear weapon quickly. What kind of nukes can Russia fire immediately? Just one weapon, the long-range ballistic missiles. Russia can fire them from land and from submarines. But there is a second option too. And that's called tactical nuclear weapons. Russia could use those. These are missiles with a shorter range. These are the kind of weapons that can be used in Ukraine. Russia has about a dozen central nuclear storage facilities. They're called Object S sites. Thousands of nuclear warheads and hydrogen bombs are stored there. One of these sites is Belgorod 22. It's just 40 kilometers from the Ukraine border. It is believed that Russia stores these tactical nuclear missiles in this facility, close to the Ukrainian border. Now, what happens if Putin decides to launch one? This, of course, is a hypothetical situation, but this is how it's expected to play out. First, Russian forces go to the storage site. They retrieve the weapon. They bring it back to a military base. The missile is made combat ready. The warhead is mounted on the missile, and then it is loaded on a plane. Russian fighter jets could end up firing these nukes into Ukraine. We hope it doesn't happen, but we cannot be sure. Analysts say the threat of a Russian nuclear strike is real. In the month of March, Moscow had asserted its right to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, and now we are in June, and Russia is still talking about the nuclear option. So what are the potential targets? 4 scenarios are being talked about. Number 1 is a bomb being detonated over the Black Sea. This will avoid any human casualties, but at the same time, it will send a message to the West. That's scenario number 1. Number 2, a decapitation strike on the Ukrainian leadership, meaning an attack on President Volodymyr Zelensky and his advisors. The Ukrainians have been raising these fears from day one. Scenario number 3, a strike on a Ukrainian military asset. This could be a military base or a supply depot. And option number 4, a strike on a Ukrainian city. And I don't need to tell you how horrific this would be. In fact, all these scenarios spell horror. Any nuclear attack on Ukraine or its people would be a crime against humanity, and Russia may not be able to survive its consequences. Knowing all of this, will Vladimir Putin still follow through on his threats? Is this just brinkmanship, or is he serious about using a nuclear weapon? Logic says he won't, but history is proof that logic tends to not inform such decisions, and that ignoring any threat from Vladimir Putin is unwise.
And whatsoever you shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If you love me, keep my commandments.